key leadership at Auburn University, and specifically the dean of the College of Forestry, Wildlife, and Environment. And that is extremely important. And here's why it's important. And what does it matter to the folks in the room and those that are online? Is that we recently, so in December of 25, they finished the harvest of the pine trees, mostly loblolly, but loblolly, longleaf, and there were some hardwoods out there of about 225 acres of the land that Dr. Ward relied on in order to provide for the school and its students and its staff. When you're in Tallapoosa Hall, the bricks that are in that building were manufactured on this site. The wood that is in the floor and on the walls were harvested from trees that were grown on this land. The food that they ate was grown on this land. The livestock that they use in order to sustain themselves was harvested or raised and harvested on this land. And so if we go forward in the 21st century and we forget about that part of the history of this school, in my mind, where I'm sitting, I just feel that is criminal. And so I met with the Dean of Forestry, Wildlife, and Environment at Auburn University, and we're going to partner where we're going to have their PhD students and their professors actually take an interest in what we're doing, and they're going to do a complete study of our land and give us a recommendation. So what does that mean? What that means is that once we harvested those trees, I was under pressure to go ahead and plan for a poison and a burn. We should be poisoning now, and then we would burn in the summertime so that I could then start planting more trees. And what was recommended was loblolly in the December through February timeframe, whatever that planting season is. But I don't think that's the right way to go. I think the right way to do is to go back to Dr. Ward's map. And he has it, and he's laid it out and shows you exactly how he used his land. And that 15 acres that you guys were able to look at the last time I was unable to go out there with you, that was his rotated crops. So that soil has got a century of rotated crops, plus another 25 to 30 years of forest that's right there. And when you notice and you walk back there, even though the heavy machinery went through and created those logging roads, red clay is not available or is not visible. There is no red clay in that part of that land. And that's the land that we want to Dr. Brandon and I had discussed about destumping and putting in a rotational crop. And I still think that's going to be the genesis of of how we recreate how this land was previously used. But we also want to add in some of the 21st century things, such as the recreation part of it. We've got a beautiful 5K trail that we would love to open up for people from the outside to be able to come in and enjoy. We have started putting in mountain bike trails. We've got some up behind Tallapoosa Hall, and of course we'll use our 5K trail, but we partnered with the local mountain bike club in the Auburn Opelika area, and we're going to start mapping out some 5K trails. Even if I'm growing things, I can still go around it and respect it. And that becomes part of the education of what do you think about when you're in an environment? How do you leave it better than you found it type approach. And so the discussion I had with the leadership at Auburn University is here's the foundation and the basis of it. And it's rooted in one thing and one thing only. And there's only one thing I'm interested in, and that is the education. Without the education, this doesn't mean anything. If it's not education, then that means I have to be a for-profit farm in order to get my return on investment of the time and energy and hard work that I want to put into that land. So, but if I stick with the education part, everything we do must tie right back into who can learn from this, what can they learn, and how can we make them better because they were a part of it. When we figure that out, they're going to be people that are we're going to have a wait list into our school. And I'm already starting to see life in our enrollment going into next semester. I already have families that have already enrolled for next semester, families who would have never considered us in the past. So I know that we're on the right path. So as we go through this change and this metamorphosis, but again, it's back to the future. It's taking the best of chapter 1, the best of chapter 2, combining it into what it is that we need for the 21st century, making ourselves relevant to the local community, as well as supporting the domestic national students as well as international students. Now all of a sudden I have things that no other school in this part of the country even has. And it is what we see out there, which is that land. So how do we take care of that? I'm glad to partner with you, Dr. Brandon, as we figure this out. But that's the next step. And what does it look like? We are going to get some help from our experts at Auburn University. And I think that partnership is extremely critical. I look at it in terms of 21st century relationship that Dr. Ward would have had with Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver in the early 20th century. So that's where we're at. That's the update. And I'm happy to answer any questions anybody might have. And that's when were you guys here? 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago? That's what's happened in just a couple of weeks. And things are moving fast, but we've got to survive this semester. We survive the semester, then things change very, very quickly. Yes, sir.
Ask the audience. I know there's one in particular. Give them an opportunity to ask you questions.
Yeah. Is there anybody online that has any questions that you would like for me to answer? Okay. Nothing heard.
I will cue him out later.
It's okay. It's okay. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach out directly to me at corey.ransby@southernprepacademy.org, or you can go through anybody in the room if you feel more comfortable doing that. So, okay.
I think the burning question might be, where's the flux capacitor, right? Back to the future. Well, guy's making warp speed here. I mean, he's past the flux capacitor. So it's every time I talk to him, something new has happened. Not just a bunch of activity, but moving towards the goal. So it's very encouraging. So we're going to bring up some things that you said later in our presentation that verify what we're doing and what we see across the landscape, not just what we're doing. So very encouraging.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Colonel.
Thank you for the.
We're going to hopefully this will continue to work correctly. Monitoring my phone to see if everybody can hear, but we are Agri-Harvest Solutions. And so this is something, Colonel, that I think is very important. This quote, "The seeds that we plant to build community are just as sacred as the seeds that we plant in the ground." So we're talking, what he's talking about are things like, I mean, look at your student body. It's international, it's global in scope. That they come here, they're taught, they're equipped, and they're sent back out. So really, it's a missional kind of approach that will not just impact this local community, but could impact the world. And so it's really starting these ripples in the pond that will go out, and we don't know what's going to happen. But we, as you said, we do our part. That's a stewardship issue. We're making things better, not just managing what we have, but making things better. So this, this is what Allie says, that this is a very sacred work we're called to, and we want to honor that and do the best that we can to make sure that it's successful. So we are Agri-Harvest Solutions. Two key words in this slide are regenerative and resilient. So obviously regenerative begins with the two words re. So think redo, reform. So this really, I think we're discovering, this isn't a new concept. This is kind of returning back to the way folks farmed and grew their own food by looking at things as a system and not just I've got this problem on this one thing. So it's really encompassing, we're looking at things as a system. And so resilient means really to be, it's taken really an offensive approach and not a defensive approach. So we're going to react to something, but we're going to be responding in appropriate ways. But we're looking at building healthy systems, healthy food and farming systems. And so it's not just chemistry, it's not just biology, it's a complete system. So it's complex. It's not something simple. We all like simple solutions. We like quick fixes. Let's go to the feed store and buy this chemical and zap this bug. And well, when you do that, a lot of times you create more problems. So we're interested in resilient, something, a healthy system that's highly productive, that benefits everyone. So you want me to just steal your thunder and do your thing, or you want to come up and talk about this part? I think it's good. You know, I welcome Scotty Mangrum to the platform here. Why he's involved in this and how this, how this kind of all started. So I'll let you talk about that. Yeah. Let's hit the mouse.
Okay, I'm Scotty Mangrum. It's funny the Colonel mentioned that a while ago. I went to this school and I spent 8 years here, and I'm also a fifth generation farmer. I would have loved to have had that opportunity to continue what I was learning on the farm when I was a kid, and also getting education with it, because being on the farms and education, some of the problems that we have established for our farming practices that we use now are the damage to the soil, overtilling, monoculture, using toxic chemicals, overgrazing pastures. All of these are, as you know, now detrimental to our farming process, to us actually. The farming process stays the same. It's us that have to change. We have to change our mindset on that. Some of the symptoms associated with damaged soil: decreased in nutrient density, water retention, no earthworms, the drought resistance of plants, increased fruit and root rot, pest problems, plant wilting, leaf discoloration. Am I good?
Hey, let me throw something in here. I just learned the other day that in 1900, you could eat one apple. Today, you have to eat 5 apples to get the same nutrient benefit that you did 100 years ago in one apple. So when you see nutrient density, you can see the loss.
That's quite a tale right there, and everyone should wake up when they hear things like that. I want to jump on a couple things here in this slide right quick. Water retention, it's a major problem in farming. A lot of your larger farmers, they pull water out of the ground. They use irrigation. They're pulling thousands and thousands of gallons out of the ground. The problem that is when you're pulling it out of the aquifer like that, the chemicals that we put on it, we're putting those chemicals into that water, and then we're releasing it back into nature. We see a lot of times, you'll see, especially around cotton farming, there'll not be a bird alive. Any runoff that goes into a creek, all the fish are dead. Cotton farming is one of the most chemically applied farming that there is, and it's bad. And the reason for that is because they feel that we don't consume cotton, although we wear it, although it's in our bandages, it's in the food processing to soak up the blood. There's a lot of places that cotton's at it comes in contact with our food. Earthworms are essential to good health, and it is a sign of good health. I think Ryan's going to get into a lot of that here in a minute, and I don't want to dive off into that. Drought resistance. Drought resistance is a problem that we see continuously. We see changes in weather patterns now that we haven't seen in my lifetime. We have a lot more heat in the summertime, a lot less rain for the last couple of years. Alabama is in a semi-drought. I think we're about to come out of it now. Let's talk about the increased problems. Fruit and root rot. Root rot is a major problem with plants, no matter what they are, whether they're container grown or whether they're grown in the ground. Pest problems. We have new pests that have been introduced into this country, from Asia. They brought them in for agriculture. Now they're just, look at your windowsill, you'll see them. The plant wilting, that's a root problem also. Leaf discoloration, there's 1,000 things that can cause that. We like to try and establish and replenish the soil. So solutions, establish practices that replenish the soil. Limit tilling. Woo, that's a big one for me because when I grew up and was taught the old farming practices, which is you tear the ground up, you turn it over. And I'm going to tell you the reason behind turning the ground over. And my daddy didn't tell me that. We just did it. But Tom Strickland the other day when we were at the last meeting told me why. And in the old days, I didn't have fertilizers. So they would go and pull the manure and things out of the barn, spread it on the field. So after a while, your nutrients would leach down into the soil. So the mindset was you go down about a foot and a half, and you roll that soil over. Therefore, you pull all your nutrients back up. Anything that was a crop from last year, you put it under. Well, what that does is create a gigantic open space that the wind will blow all your topsoil off, the rain will erode it. It's really a new thing to me that is limited tilling. Because man, if I see a weed, I want to pull it. and you know, it's hard. We don't plow as much like we used to. So this is a very big learning curve for me. Crop coverage. Dr. Brandon will get into that in a minute, but it's putting cover crops on our fields that we didn't. The old farming practice in the fall, we would just turn everything over and let it sit all winter. And then in the spring, we'd go back in and disc it and be ready to go. Supportive inputs. That's chemical stuff, right? Anything that we put in the soil. And companion planting. Well, that is a whole other ball game that I don't want to steal Dr. Brandon's thunder on that one because he's going to get into that one in a minute. Soil is the beginning of the quality of food. That's from a documentary called Kiss the Ground. I recommend everyone, if you're really interested in this, you really should do some research on this. That's what I'm having to do. I'm going to bring Dr. Brandon back. I just want to thank everybody for being here today and just let everybody know that we are doing everything we can to teach people a new way or a new old way of doing things. It's kind of that back to the future thing. Thank you, guys.
I'm out here to make sure. Let's see here.
We don't have audio.
To anyone who shows up with a concern, a question, or a challenge. While much of our time is focused in Central America, where we travel between jungle. Good day, everyone. I'm Allie Baumeister. My family and I operate an independent humanitarian volunteer group that we call the Enduring Empathy Project. Basically, we ask, how can we help? To anyone who shows up with a concern, a question, or a challenge. While much of our time is focused in Central America, where we travel between jungle villages, supporting people in pain, with pain and injuries, we have also had hundreds of conversations with farmers around the world about everything from their health issues to difficulties with their farm. Almost every farmer I've spoken to has an overlap of the same troubles. Their expenses of both time and money are high. Their revenue comes under various and sometimes unknown threats, and the wellness of their plants needs nearly constant attention. Many farmers have heard about the health concerns directly associated with what they spray on their crops, but without a clear path forward, they will repeatedly use those products until they find a better way. They will prioritize buying these products only because it's a system that they recognize and they know how to use, even if it doesn't support the majority of their long-term goals. Because farmers have to do whatever it takes to keep their yields consistent so they can accommodate their expenses throughout the seasons, and because they usually have sunk a lot of time and money on equipment and materials, making changes to their setup feels like an overwhelming challenge to many. My job has been to help them find a better way forward with a do what you can with what you have where you are perspective, and I try to step into their shoes and recognize the lived experiences of their day-to-day life. We focus on natural and locally available materials to replenish and stabilize the soil, and form solutions based on what individual farmers have tangible access to. We create customized approaches that help develop better balance in their farming practices. When I learned about the 3-product system that this network is currently experimenting with, it piqued my interest, primarily because it is by farmers for farmers. It is addressing the needs of the soil and the plants and encouraging better immunity for the entire farm. And it can be fine-tuned to address unique challenges instead of pursuing outright eradication, which tends to be more expensive and causes a lot more problems. And it fits into my desire to support the wellness of farmers, families, and communities by offering practical guides for farming in a more responsible and plentiful manner without disrupting their routines or needing new equipment. Your farm is a complex and alive piece of the planet. It doesn't only bear your name, it bears the results of generations of farming activity, often where only one type of crop was present at a time. This form of farming is referred to as monoculture farming. And while it has been the backbone of America's farming industry, it's causing a lot of challenges for the farmers who use it, and for the environment around them. Because this type of farming depletes nutrients from the soil, we've done crop rotations, sprayed fertilizers and nutrients, we've met swarms of pests and imbalances, and primarily all of this is because we just don't have the biological components to help keep those factors in check. Through my research, I've discovered that plants which have a regular source of nutrients have a healthier immune system. Much like humans, having their health needs met is equal to having stronger health. With good health, these plants are capable of living more harmoniously and responding to biological threats in effective ways that keep these threats in greater balance. These plants also produce higher yields and healthier, more nutritious produce. So the question for me becomes, how do we create healthier farms while still utilizing systems that farmers understand, which are convenient, accessible, and will not only ultimately save them money, but will minimize their need for endless products and expenses or unhealthy temporary solutions? I believe this network is addressing this question head on. Utilizing the current practices most farms in America are already accustomed to, the agri-harvest system harnesses the immense benefits of magnesium hydroxide in nanoplatelet form, alongside NutriPlant 643 and deer repellent. It supplies a robust 360-degree support system to your plants. This setup aims to create better balance in your plants and soil. It allows for the use of your current equipment and protocols and decreases the need for harmful additives while increasing the 360-degree health of your pots, fields, and orchards. While we won't make promises that you'll never again have troubles, we do believe that by engaging with our network and utilizing these methods, you'll see a dramatic increase in the health, wellness, and yield of your plants. And we've got scientific results alongside actual real-life field studies to support this belief. The people here at Newater Farms are just one of many locations that have been testing this system. I'd like you to hear a bit from the people who manage their crops and develop their farming practices. They'll tell you what they've done in the past, how they've been supported and challenged by their old practices, and how the agri-harvest system is changing the lives of their plants and their produce.
All right. Testing 1, 2, 3. Allie, can you hear me? Or Mackie, can you hear me? Just
Yes,
text me back.
clear.
I think we're working.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Figure it out. So appreciate your patience with us. We're going to keep going with this. We want to turn it over to Ryan probably before we present our results and just kind of let him tell specifically, because we got to see and what he's done last month. But there are other testers in the room. Matthew Strong with the Tallapoosa Girls Ranch. They're testing on their pastures to improve their pasture land. Is it okay to share some stuff? So previously, as Matthew's worked with us for a long time, since he was 5 years, and he's a joy to work with because he's a learner, he's a hard worker, he's really interested in making things better. But we got in this conversation about 6 weeks ago about his pasture land, and how it wasn't doing very well. And so I said, well, what did you guys do before? So he sent me this conversation he had with the previous manager. And my questions were, what did you do about fertilizer? How did you feed your fields? And the guy said, well, we put out whatever we got. I'm like, interesting. Or whatever we could get. And then I said, well, how much, when did you put it out? Well, we put it out whenever we got it. And said, well, how much did you put out? We put it all out, whatever we got. I'm like, this is all over the place. And then he showed me a picture from 7 years ago. Yeah, it was 2017. Yeah. That picture. And pastures were 1.5 feet in forage. It was unbelievable. And when I went over there a few weeks ago, it looked like this floor pretty much. And so he's testing out several things, but putting in a system, I think, to return the land back, much what Southern Prep's doing. And then Ryan here's on the front of the Ags piece. I'm excited because they're starting from ground zero, so it's fun to see what he's doing. But let me, both of these guys and everybody else, I think that we work with, this is a really true statement. How we treat the land affects how it in turn treats us. And I think a lot of what's happened in the ag space is that we've seen the land as a commodity. We can use it as we wish, and we can control it. And what we're finding out, that's just been a bad approach because it hasn't really helped us. It's hurt us. And so this is from a book called What Your Food Ate by David Montgomery and his wife, Ann Bickley. He's a geologist. She's a biologist. They've teamed up. They've written lots extensively on this topic. But, Scotty talked about soil loss, and across the globe, it's 0.3% soil loss per year across the globe. That's an average across the globe. And so you might think, well, 0.3%, that's not a whole lot. But 10 years, that's 3%. 100 years, that's 30%. So it's a real problem with the soil loss. In 1937, Franklin Roosevelt wrote to all the governors in the United States because he's coming out of the Dust Bowl crisis. And this is his famous statement: a nation that destroys its soil destroys itself. So really our future is our soil. And so it's the challenge is it moves so slow. We think, well, nothing's really happening. Well, we can all look back over our lifetimes and see, well, a whole lot happened. I duck hunted the Mississippi Delta for 20 years, and much of that land is sterile. They don't even plant it anymore because it's useless. They've just so depleted their soils through the application of chemicals, mostly in a heavy tillage. And so that's a very fertile section of our country down here in the South. And so they have just, destroyed it. But I thought maybe get Ryan up here and, tell us about what's happening here at Southern Prep in the ag space and what he's doing. I've learned a lot. I used to work with Ryan and we were learning together, but he taught me a lot about a lot, and just a really great guy. I love this guy to death. And I've always cherished our time that we had day in, day out working together and discovering things together and go, hey, and podcasts and the information flow just going all the time and trialing stuff and failures and successes. So best way to learn. So I would say he's one of my mentors. So you can have a mentor that's younger than you. Go ahead. Why don't you tell us what you do?
Yeah, good almost afternoon, depending on where you're at. Ryan Montgomery. So the biggest thing out of all this is stewardship, right? So I'm a man of faith. There's several men of faith in here in the room and several online. God has entrusted us with certain things. It may be land, it may be relationships, community. Here at Southern Prep, he's entrusted us with a lot of young minds. So we have land and young minds. We're surrounded by a community that 100 years ago was really integral in the part of this school. And that's a lot of what we're going back to. We have local churches and local people in the area that have seen what's been going on here, and they really want to be a part of that. And I've kind of taken a role to kind of help make those relationships. And I know that there are farmers in the community that have a lot of knowledge that we could be learning from as well. But simply, we have we've got a lot of resources at our fingertips. So I've really been trying to take a hold of those and manage them. Right now, we don't really have working farmland, but we have land that has that potential. So one of the things I've been doing is getting on the phone, calling local tree services and people around. Wood chips and regenerative agriculture is one thing that is very beneficial for covering the soil. If you go outside and you say, nothing grows in this red clay. Stuff does grow on the red clay, but there's some things we can look around and learn from the environment. Is in nature, you don't see bare red clay, right? So what's the result that nature tries to do to help that bare red clay is put up a bunch of weeds. So I know that if I use wood chips and I mulch around my plants, I'm going to suppress the weeds, but I'm also doing what the soil wants me to do. So in that stewardship and relationships, I'm getting on the phone, and I recommend, whatever area you are online or any of us, talk to your local arborist, because they have trucks full of wood chips, and then they have to pay somebody to go get rid of them. So right here, I got a greenhouse, and I've got a spot mark chip drop. It's a good one. You can get online. It's a free service. I've got a spot marked. Hey, if you're an arborist and you got some wood chips, bring them over here. Food, compost, worms. I love that stuff. I love the idea of it. I love to eat, so it goes hand in hand. But 60% or more of what we put in our trash can that goes to the landfill can be composted. So working as a dining hall manager, I come in contact with a lot of fresh vegetables, a lot of stuff that used to go in a trash can, but now it goes in bins, and we take them out here to the greenhouse, and we're making our own compost and collecting leaves from the community and around campus, mixing with that carbon and nitrogen ratio and making mulch and compost that we can use. Here pretty soon, we're going to be breaking up a section of ground beside the greenhouse, and it's not really about what we're growing, but getting the kids out and getting their hands in the dirt. And we've got a couple on our agriculture club that are just wild about getting out there and working the shovel. And I got one of them that wants to be a Navy SEAL that has more energy than I've probably had in my whole lifetime in a day. And he loves to get in there and turn that compost pile. But at the end, I mean, he's so, I don't know. We live in an electronic world. So when you would think that going outside and doing physical labor wouldn't equate to something that would be satisfying for all students. And at first it wasn't, but now he has such satisfaction in seeing the work that he's accomplished with his hands. So that's just really the vision that we have, and we're trying to harness, is that we have those resources that I talked about, Stuart, and we have young minds, and we're trying to get those two connected with this community and just take advantage of what God has. So for your own self, start small. You have a household, you have certain things around that, coffee grounds, certain organic things. Don't just throw them away and fill up a landfill. You could be saving that stuff at the house. You can get some red wigglers online to go in there. They'll eat that stuff up. They'll reproduce every 3 months. They double in size or double in quantity. So you could be growing a huge pile and sharing with your neighbors. And you might have never even talked to your neighbors, but if you need some coffee grounds, you need the scraps, it might be just the door that you need to build a relationship. Because before we had all this technology is great, but it can be a hindrance. But before we had all that, we had neighbors and we had families, and we relied on each other. And that's what we're trying to regenerate and get back to. And I just love the vision of the president, the dean. We're getting back to those relationships. We're getting back to being good stewards, and it's just an amazing time to be a part of Agri-Harvest and Southern Preparatory Academy. I so much appreciate Robert. I mean, he gives me a lot of credit, but this man has got so much wisdom and such a great heart to share with people, and to see a community and see young people, see their minds awaken to, what they can do with their hands. I know one thing we did, we used to spray a lot of herbicide and stuff. And Robert had this, there was this torch that somebody that was there years ago had, and it just sat there and collected dust. And it was like, maybe we could get that torch out in that propane tank, and we wouldn't even have to get in there with a shovel and get this grass out of the way. We could just burn it instead of trying to kill it. And man, it worked great, and it took so much off of us. But sometimes we have those stuff laying around. We have things laying around our house. Somebody had a vision, and all of a sudden it lays somewhere and collects dust. But we're trying to revive those things. It's all around us. So thank you for your time. If you're online, hey, next time we meet the first and third Thursdays, invite a friend, bring a friend online. It's easy to send the link, and look forward to spending time with you again.
So real quick, some of you guys have seen a lot of these slides, but this is where what really kicked this off for me and for New Water Farms. We raised our principal cash crop are blackberries. We have about 1 acre and a third of Kiowa blackberries. They're trellised. We make jams and jellies. That's kind of our a little bit of an income stream for us. And when I came to the farm as full time in 2023, things had been mismanaged greatly. So I was getting things back on track, and I spent almost every day of the year for a full year in the blackberry orchards, tying them and training them. And I was so excited. I had great wire coverage. Things were going great last year. And we started our harvest. And then all of a sudden, I'm noticing the vines are just defoliating and leaves are shriveling up and dying. And then our production just went down big time. And so I feel like we should have about 3,000 pounds a year. We got it up to almost 1,900 pounds the year before. And then last year we went to 1,200. So we had a major loss last year. So the slide you see on the left is the damaged plants, and it's a fungus called yellow rust that transfers by spores. We have a lot of wind where we are, so there's these yellow clouds. And so, one little incident, and next thing you know, the whole orchard almost overnight is covered in this stuff. So it doesn't necessarily kill the plant, but it kills the leaves. The leaves fall off. You have less photosynthesis, and you can see in the picture of the immature fruit. And so those fruit would never mature. So that was our big loss. And recommendations were to obviously spray fungicides, not natural fungicides. I couldn't spray because there's fruit on there, so I was kind of stuck. The other recommendation was to dig it up, burn it, pull the roots out, and leave the land fallow for 3 years. So remember I said this is a cash crop, so there goes our income. And that's what a lot of recommendations are when you have a typical fungus like this, heavily chemicals, or just put it out. Years before Ryan and I were there full time, we had apple trees, and they developed a oat root rot fungus, and we tried to, I don't know what we tried, but it didn't work. But the recommendation was to take them out. So we took all the trees out, burn them. They said, it's going to affect your whole farm. Your whole farm's going to die. And we're like, that was the panic button. So we did what they said. We took them out, burned them, and that land lays fallow now. And come to find out, really, there's a big rock ledge. It's really, really shallow soils. It was a tough situation. So we were trying to force nature in that situation. But got involved with Scotty. We've known each other now we've been dating for about 13 months now. And I think this is going to work. But he introduced me to Tom Strickland, and Tom's kind of behind the nanotech thing. And he came up and just spent a half a day looking at it and said, we have a similar situation in strawberries in Florida, and we had a great positive impact, a side effect of using the magnesium. And so we began a treatment plan in our blackberries with the magnesium, heavy. We did a soil drench. We sprayed every week for about, I think we did like 9 weeks. And the picture you see on the right is the new growth coming in, and you can see the big difference in the leaves. And so we had pretty much didn't have any physical evidence that the fungus was still there. So it felt really good. So coming into the spring, our plants, I think what's happened to our plants, and Matthew and I worked them yesterday, was that the fungus and what you see on the left had really stunted the growth. And so we're behind where we are. However, our plants are much healthier. We do find some of the fungal again, but they're on the old leaves. There is no incidence of the fungus on the new growth. They're all on some existing leaves that we had. So we've actually gone in and I've done a organic fungicide in addition to the magnesium. We'll be doing a big soil drench and a foliar application of the magnesium again to get these plants back healthy. But we did have to go in and supplement the magnesium with a fungal spray, which is citric acid and cinnamon oil. It smells great. It made the whole farm smell wonderful. But really, we were really trying to knock it out, and because it just takes over almost overnight situations. But so we've gone to a program at the farm, no synthetics this year, and our fertilizers we're doing all natural, and the majority of us are foliar applied, which is a quick intake into that plant. And we've gone to our old plan was to put this fertilizer out in October, put this fertilizer out in March, and it really wasn't plant sensitive. It was more about kind of just almost kind of back to Matthew's situation, just put some stuff out there. So we've moved over to looking at each plant, what it specifically needs when it needs it. So there's 5 phases that we put out different things throughout the growing season: bud set, flowering, fruit set, fruit harvest. So different things that we foliar apply, all those things. Now they're all natural. They're not all organic, but they're organic practices. We won't use any synthetics on the farm this year, except for maybe a little bit of herbicide. We're weaning ourselves off of that, cocktail that's just so easy to reach and kill all the weeds. But really building a lot of soil health. We've done earthworm casting, soil drenches to build the microbial networks in the soil. And it's a slow move. We're weaning these plants off of dependency to synthetics and move them to building a soil health and not taking what they need and then applying what the plant needs when it needs it. So a lot of attention is paid to that now. The NutriPlant we love because it's a 6,4,3 nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. They're low concentration, so you're not going to burn your plants up. But it's because it's liquid, I can apply it with lots of other things in my spray, and I just make one pass in the field, not multiple passes. And then you guys heard me say our number one pest are deer. The deer love our stuff, and nature doesn't lie. If you have good tasting stuff, you're going to have animals because that's like free food. And so, a story about that is in our tomato patch last year, we had 3 different varieties, and I went in one morning to check on our gardens, and I had heirlooms, I had some sliced tomatoes, and I had aroma tomato. And guess which ones the rabbits ate the bottoms of the tomatoes out of? The heirlooms, because they had the highest sugar content. They left the other ones alone. So nature's your good indicator. So it's helped us to get really intimate with all of our plants and our soils. But we embraced the whole system with the magnesium, the NutriPlant, the deer repellent, because those are all liquids. We can put those all in at one time and make one pass and spray. And then there are other supplements. But so far, we're feeling great about what we've done in this past year with the blackberries. It'll take a year or two probably to get back to a good path, but we're heading in the right direction. So I might get Sky to come and talk about these other crops that he tested at his farm, Oak Hill Farms, last year, because these are some amazing results he's got to show.
So I've been testing this product now. This will be going on my 3rd year testing it. It's amazing what we can do and what we see that the outcome of this is. This is some kale that I planted. I bought about all of this in a little 6-pack at the feed and seed store. Just did a soil drench and did a couple of applications to it. See the size difference here in these plants. It's amazing. These plants are the same age. Everything that I'm going to show you, you've got to remember, this is apples to apples testing here. All of these plants are going to be the same age. So see the size difference. We've already got a viable product here that we can pick, we can harvest versus waiting this time. As we get on into these slides, you're going to see this is a cabbage that we grew. We're probably cutting our grow times at least down 1/4, but more like probably 1/3 of the time. Sometimes we're about 50% of the time. It just depends on the plant species and things like that. But you can see here, these cabbages were both the same age. They were both planted at the same time. One was treated with NutriPlant 6,4,3 and the magnesium product, which we have a little sample of. I can show everyone. We've already got a head on this one. And again, these are the same age plants. These are sunflowers. This is one of those, we get about 45% increase in the growth rate. This is a 35-day grow on these sunflowers. They were all planted at the same time. As you can see, the untreated, we're at average growth height for the fertilization process we were doing. We're at about 35 days. We got about 15 inches, no flowers. We got another probably 35 days before we get to this stage. But yet with the application of the magnesium, we have sunflowers that are at 27 inches, and these are black oil sunflowers. So this is typically when you buy sunflower seed or sunflower oil, this is what you're going to be getting. We've already got a flower, but we also have multiple heads, which is very rare in sunflowers when you have 2 blooms on one sunflower. As far as the crop thing is concerned, we're already increasing the rotation of the crop because we can get 2 crops per year out of this, pushing it like this. Because we're only at 35 days, and I've got a flower here that's harvestable. Within, I'm going to say within the 5 days of this picture, all of those flowers were blooming. So that's an incredible increase in the amount of time of growth time we get on these. These are some Roma tomatoes that I had planted. Again, same seed pack, same 6 cell. Put one on one side, one on the other. We did a soil drench, regular fertilization. I do want you to understand this. I haven't been saying this, but the untreated plants, we're not using the NutriPlant on. I'm using regular triple 13 fertilizer on those. So you see the difference here that I'm getting in this growth spurt, the size of these plants. We're going to get on into some other things here in a minute. This is a Better Boy tomato. This is a guy that helped me on the farm. He's like 5'9". So you see the size of this plant. That's one plant, by the way. We had a massive yield off of this plant, which we estimated we pulled about 7 bushels of tomato off this one plant. Just imagine, the only thing that stopped this plant from growing and continuing to produce was a frost killed it. So imagine in a temperate zone where you have a 365-day grow period, you can grow these tomatoes like that. It's incredible. This is a bell pepper that I had treated, and I did a drought stress on this. We stressed this plant for 7 days in about 90 to 92 degree heat, and it looked like it was dead. I thought it was dead. But 20 days later, we revived this pepper plant. And if you'll look right there, you can see a pepper on it. That pepper even survived from that picture. So it's incredible what we got out of that. The drought tolerance that this magnesium product allows us to have, I've never seen anything like it. It's incredible. This picture is an example of bell peppers, not the same plant. The untreated, we had about 15. I gave it 15, being very generous. We probably had about 10 to 12 peppers on each plant. And we had about 50 of them planted. So we didn't do a small test here. So, but on our test, we noticed that we started getting that brown rot. You can see it here on these peppers. Now, that's 3 peppers and 2 of them have that brown rot on them. So those are unsellable. We pull those off and they go in the compost pile because they're no good. We wound up losing about 50% of the yield that we had on those peppers. Meanwhile, on a treated plant, we pulled 325 fruits off of it, that one plant. Now, most PhDs and professors will tell you that this is impossible, that a pepper plant will never, ever grow or produce more than 10 to 12, 15 peppers on it. Well, I guess we're going against nature here because this is what we got, not just once, multiple times we got that. The reason I took this picture is because I wanted to show, this is a very good example. But if you look, you see these full-grown peppers that are ready for harvest, right? But look right there. You see that? That's a flower. Flower means new pepper. So we have, in the process of these other peppers, we will never see them bloom again. They bloom one time. One time. That's why we get 10 plants, 10 fruits off of them. But we have multiple stages of growth that you can see right there as a flower. And that's why they keep producing, because we get multiple flower sets. I wish I could say, go ahead.
Did the flowers keep coming out?
Yes.
as plants?
Absolutely. The question was, did the flowers continue? Can they go back? So what we would have is, we have the initial set, the flower set. And from that, we have that first crop that starts coming on. Then continuously after that, once they get to the small stage, when they stop blooming and the actual fruit starts coming out on it, then we notice that it starts putting on new bloom sets, and it continues to put on new bloom sets. We're not going in here and pruning this thing. It's just putting them on its own. Go ahead. We did. That's triple 13. You know, triple 13 is what's the go-to fertilizer. And we noticed that a lot of times even in rain, when we have a lot of rain, we still see the granules of that fertilizer laying on the ground where it's, it hasn't gone into the soil. So Dr. Brandon's got a story about that. He can tell. But I wanted to, to show everyone this because it does go against what they teach us, about plants growing. So it's incredible. And it's not just pepper plants that we see this in. I wish I could say they all did this, but they don't. This one, I just, as we were picking, it got left on there. Look at the size difference in this plant and this pepper. We get about maybe 25% of them that'll grow larger like this. In that, you got to remember these plants are full of fruit, so they have to be healthy in order to sustain that kind of fruit production. And if that plant is in any kind of stress, it will not produce like that. The cool thing about our magnesium product, along with the NutriPlant mix that we're using, is that those plants are stress-free. That's why those plants can do what they do. That's why we get these massive growth, blooms, and growth of the plant in the vegetative state and production of fruit, because that plant is not having to combat bugs and parasites and everything that wants to destroy it. That plant is allowed to just be healthy and grow. Plus, with the use of the magnesium product on these plants, it allows the plant to uptake 100% of the nutrients that you're feeding it. I don't care what you're feeding a plant. If you're feeding it on regular feeding of anything, you're going to get about 60% uptake of nutrients. The rest of it, the plant is not going to uptake it. Pathogens are going to eat it. It's going to attract that. So, but we get 100% uptake. So we get this accelerated growth. We get more blooms. We get about therefore with more blooms, we get more fruit. And on and on. This one, as you can see, the untreated, which is a normal size bell pepper. All right. But remember now, we lost 50% of the yield. So to get to that pepper, we had to lose half of them to get a pepper like that. But on this one that was treated, and we did feed it with a NutriPlant, we wound up at a 7.81 grams. That one's 3.87. It's almost double the size of the pepper itself. Go ahead, Barry.
Did you have any loss on the treated side?
No. The question was, did we have any loss on the treated side? No. Zero. We didn't have any infections to get into the plants. The plants remained healthy. Therefore, the plants continued to produce up until frost. Not 1 year, not 2 years, but 3 years now. And, Tom Strickland has been doing it for 8 years. He gets the same results. We get the same results. The third-party testing was done in North Carolina. Same thing. All right, this is a corn seedling that Dr. Brandon did on some James Island red corn that he and I grow. His control is, you see his control versus the treated. And what we're showing here is the root growth and the mass, the root mass. So we got a 30 to 57% increase in the root mass of this corn. Now these are seedlings, so they're only about yay tall. But corn is one of those fruits that has to have a good root mass in it, or it's not going to produce very well for you. And corn, this particular variety of corn, now that we've learned, doesn't like to be crowded. It does better when the row spacing is a little bit different. And so we're playing with that kind of stuff. However, this is one treatment. This is one treatment. So, Dr. Brandon did one treatment. Did you do a soil drench on these? Okay, so that is just a seed soak. So let me back up. So he soaked the seeds for 24 hours in the magnesium mixture and planted it. And you see the root density that we're getting here from just a seed soak. So nothing was applied to these. This is just from the seed. Incredible, incredible. We don't normally see that. This is you, Doc. So synopsis of benefits: healthier plants, greater root mass, stronger stalks, increased nutrient uptake, more resistant to pathogens, pests, diseases, healthier fruit, larger fruit, more flavorful. We do get a higher sugar content, we've noticed, in which Dr. Brandon's really about to put that to the test this spring with his blackberries. Since they're in the middle of a process, we've been using them ever since he saved them last year. Greater budding, higher fruit production. The more buds we have, the more fruit we have. Supple and firm at harvest. Good quality stuff. The taste is different on these. Anyone who's ever eaten any of this stuff that we grow will tell you, just the taste is so much different. Barry can verify that. He's the one that made comment on it. Synopsis of the benefits: increased harvest, 17 to 400%. You see that number? 400. We're not making that up. We're not just here just saying it. This is true testing results that we have. 1 to 4 additional harvests per season. Unheard of. I told you with the sunflowers, we can get 2 sunflower in this zone where we live here. I can plant sunflowers twice. Never been able to do that. Decrease in loss of fruit. Hey, less pathogens, less fruit loss. Go ahead, Barry.
I did the math on the peppers. That's actually over a 4,000%.
So Barry says that we're being a little what is it? Conservative on our numbers for the fruit, for the pepper. He said it was about 4,000% increase.
And the percent increase. It came in like 4,044.
All right, I'm gonna bring Dr. Brandon back. Thank you, guys.
Interesting. One of the facts, the 1 to 4 additional harvest was Parker down at Robertsdale has muscadines, and he treated his muscadine plants with the magnesium. He had 4 separate fruit sets. Usually muscadines, you get 1 fruit set, 1 harvest. He had 4. He harvested muscadines into the frost season. He was just like, this is unbelievable. So, we would have put 4,000, but nobody would have believed us, right? Y'all are. So these are the things we're doing in 2026 right now. We are spraying, including magnesium, in several of our crops at the farm. And we're doing that for as Scotty mentioned, increased nutrient absorption rate. So we are making sure our soil is healthy. We're feeding our soil with microbes and doing some other inoculants that are promoting the biology in the soil, because it's got to sustain these plants if they have all that growth. And this is, you remember Scotty talked about, this is context. This isn't one little thing you throw out there and poof, you have all the stuff that happens. You've got to set it to your particular context. So for us, we're really have some really depleted soil. So over the years, we focused on increasing our soil health, that they can support this life. But obviously the stress tolerances with the heat, the crazy rain patterns we're having. I did not plant anything in the ground yet because it's been cold, so we're planting in 2 weeks. But so I can't tell you the freeze protected it all because I can't prove that. But anyway, but obviously pest resistance with healthy plants, you're not going to have to spray pesticides. Pests attack weak and struggling plants. They don't go for the good stuff. So if you have healthier plants, you're going to have less pest pressure. And one thing that we learned last year is we employ high school students from the girls' ranch to pick with us, and we were picking peas, and there were 3 different species of wasps in the peas. As they picked peas, they're like, "There's wasps. We got to spray them. We got to kill them." I said, "Time out. Why do you think they're here?" And so they learned that they were there eating the sugars. Once you popped a pod off the plant exuded sugar, but also there were aphids. We had some aphids in there. They weren't many, but the wasps were there to take care of the aphids. So one fact I learned, for every bad bug, there's 1,700 good bugs. So if you go in spraying pesticide, you kill all the good stuff and maybe the bad stuff. So, but with these healthier plants, you've got less stresses from the pests. Chlorophyll production, the photosynthesis cycle with the magnesium is at the center of the chlorophyll atom. And so it's really helpful to these plants to have better photosynthesis action to feed itself and to feed the soil. So yeah, improve photosynthesis by better chlorophyll production. So this is a little bit about the nanotech, nanoplatelet form of magnesium, the most purest form of magnesium there is. It's a product for augmenting the soil and for supplementing nutrients. It acts as a conduit for uptaking the nutrients. It helps to balance the pH level in the soil. Most of our vegetables are in the 6 to 7 range, and so it's going to kind of bring that soil to neutral. Obviously, accelerating growth. Doesn't dissipate easily in the soil. It's not like other things that leach out or leach off. It stays in the soil, and that plant's only uptaking what it needs. So I like to say it's sort of idiot-proof. You can't overapply it. So that's great. And it reduces the need for the microbials and the pesticides. So it really helps that plant health. And so obviously, a little conservative, 65% in yield. But also, we're testing at New Water, I guess, another magnesium product called Photomag. Now, it does have additional trace elements like sulfur, boron, cobalt, and molybdenum. But we're looking at some soil drenches in our transplants in our greenhouse, side by side with the nanoplate, with the nanotech magnesium. But it's magnesium, so it's going to do all the great things. So helping the nutrient uptake of the plant, and it builds, the chlorophyll, so it's a good building block. So we're doing foliar sprays, no heavy metals, trace mineral content, and it's not just one thing, but it's a healthy balance. And it's going to strengthen our plants, and particularly when you put it on, whether it's cell division or bud growth, it's going to promote what that plant needs, and higher yields, and what Scotty mentioned about the fruit and all those good things. But this is the NutriPlant 643. It's very balanced nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and it's on the plant. Plant's going to take it in. It's got a great intake, so it's not a waste. You're not wasting it. So yeah, the 643 balance, got some trace elements, all these other things that are really healthy at particular times in the plant's life, whether it's stalk strength or cell wall divisions, building up healthier cells, setting better buds, better fruit. One thing we look for is uniform bud growth, but also more buds. And so we're seeing that in our blueberries this spring. We've been applying it too. So yeah, rapid nutrient uptake, and then all these great things that it has. It's a little bit idiot proof too. You can't, you're not going to burn your plant up with, putting a bunch of hot stuff on your plant. So I'm loving it. I'm loving it. As I mentioned, deer are our big pests that we've got. So we spray a commercial product called Liquid Fence. We're looking at maybe manufacturing it ourselves because we figured out kind of what's in it. And it's a lot of stuff that people discard: eggshells, garlic residue. So think if you just mixed a big old hot batch of garlic and garlic and eggs together and let it sit around for a while, probably smells pretty bad, doesn't it? This stuff smells horrible, and the deer hate it. And actually, what I've found out is I don't have to go with their recommended dilution rate. I can bring it way down because it is so strong, and it really keeps the deer off of our stuff, and the rabbits too. But they'll just come in and strip buds off a plant, and because I'm spraying these other foliar sprays, I put a little bit in the tank, and hope the wind doesn't blow it back on me because my wife won't let me in the house. But it's very effective. So yeah, liquid fence is one of these that we found. I've tried other things at the farm. It's eco-friendly. It's plant safe. It helps some with the leaf tissue, and it binds really well to the plant. It doesn't just roll off, and it lasts a long time. Typically, if we have a heavy rain, I'll have to go back in and reapply, but I'm not every time it rains, I don't have to reapply it. So yes, sir.
How, from harvest, how far away from harvest do you stop? When do you stop?
I would put it on at close to harvest because I mean, you're going to wash it's not going to make you sick if you eat it.
Right.
It's like I said, it's eco-friendly. So I'll put it on. If I got pressure, I'll put it on whenever. It's not been a problem at all. The question was, when can I apply it at harvest? And the question was yes. So our invitation to everybody is to become a tester. We've got some new testers in the room, which is exciting, from the magnesium hydroxide. The photo mag is commercially available. We talked to Scotty about picking up some magnesium today. We've got lots of other testimonies about magnesium, not just from plant-based, but things like, I guess I can say, maybe I shouldn't say, gangrene and scar revision and sunburn and all these things. I mean, it's a really healthy product. So I use it on ant bites and bee stings at the farm, and they just go away very, very quickly. So and they've got a great little thing you can keep in your shirt pocket to stick it on, because we all know if you're outside, something's going to happen to you. The NutriPlant, I believe there's some folks in the room you can talk to about, or hit Buck up. Buck's the main one, or our favorite cousin Bill, he can help you out. And then the liquid fence is available. I get mine from Tractor Supply. So those are the things, our system. But also I've been using some products from Advanced Eco Agriculture. They're up in Ohio, and they use a lot of natural things, heavy on the biology and less on the chemistry. Some things like C-stem, which is in sea shield, which is derived from kelp. So it's these are great soil inoculants that also you can probably apply to fight fungi and pathogens and pests. And then a calcium product called Holocal. We've added that in our test regimen with the magnesium in our transplants to see how they do. Calcium is really important for water uptake, really important to tomatoes. That's a lot of times what helps fight the end rot that we have. And then a product called Rejuvenate, which helps break down the biology, because we use a lot of cover crops and a lot of residue in our soils. It does help break that down to get those nutrients in the soil. And these are all liquid products. Another organic product, foliar applied. And then Ryan taught me about compost teas, that we take our earthworm castings and we 24 to 48 hours in a water solution and aerate that. Adds a little bit of typically molasses to speed up that microbial action. And then we put about 6 to 8 ounces around the base of each plant. So feeding that soil. And this is, as it warms up. And Matthew, I think that's probably got a lot of really nice green leaves on our blackberries right now, because I treated those plants last month with that. So that's really good. Obviously, mulching, cover cropping has been mentioned. That's going to reduce your erosion. It's going to capture that nitrogen and carbon out of the air and sequester it into the soil. So like I say, it's free fertilizer, but also it reverses the process of the carbon loss. We see these vast, massive bare fields, and that carbon's just going out of the soil into the sky as carbon dioxide. So really important to keep your soil covered, armored, as they would say in the regenerative space. Keep that soil armored and covered. Weed suppression, water retention, carbon is the currency. So this is building carbon in your soil, and as well as organic matter. At the farm, in our vegetable gardens, we've increased our organic matter to 5%, which is huge in the state of Alabama. Most places are now 1 to 2% across our country. And the fact that what supports that is 1% organic matter will take a 1-inch rainfall, which is 26,000 gallons over an acre. So at 5%, we can take a 5-inch rainfall without any runoff, because that water's infiltrating. That's over 120,000 gallons of water I didn't have to put or ran off into the lake where we are. So organic matter is a big deal. So this is this picture is actually some folks looking at the soil at New Water. This is in North Carolina. This is our garden plot. You can see the small plot we're doing. The reason that soil is so dark is that's composted leaf mulch that we apply every season on top of our beds, and we're not tilling there. But this quote from Vanarati in North Carolina: "A farm is nothing without the community that supports it." So Ryan talked about that. Colonel talked about that. Scotty's talked about that. This is more than just about agriculture. This is about the restoration of relationships, if you will. Everything from a spiritual relationship to community relationships, even how we see ourselves. It really is something. My life has changed because my hands are in the dirt every day. I used to sit behind a desk, and our lives have totally changed. The way we eat, the joy factor went up, all that good stuff. But it really is something. And Scotty's talked about, just being with people and working together and solving problems and bringing out community. So yeah, I hadn't seen this slide, but wow, there's something to aspire to, Ryan. I'd like to say in 10 years, this is a community garden at Southern Prep. There it is. Wow, that is amazing. But it takes a lot of work. It takes forethought. It takes more than one person. It takes people working together with a common goal. So it is achievable. This is real. This isn't AI. This is actually a real garden. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, just improve your soil. Start now. Start small. Start now is a great saying in the ag world right now, and we'd love to help you do that. So team up with us. We're a bunch of folks, different walks of life, trying together to make a big difference, whether it's in the education sector, the private sector, hobby. But yeah, so we can help you do all these things, and we can all learn together. That's the beautiful part of it, is to learn together. We've got some couple things coming up. First Thursdays, we're at New Water, same time frame, 10 to noonish. We talk about this stuff. We share our results, what we're doing, and we share stuff that maybe hadn't worked. This is about real life. And then the third Thursdays, we're here at Southern Prep, so be on the lookout for that. We've got some free and paid workshop events coming up in the next quarter. We're going to do a soil rehabilitation. Bring your soil in. We'll look at it. Bring your soil test results. We'll go over those. But how do you read your soil test? How do you read your soil? What the heck's going on here? And then recommendations based on what you need to do that. And then our plan is you would leave with a 1-year packet to make your garden successful with the magnesium, NutriPlant, and some other things. So just be on the lookout for that kind of stuff. Here's Scotty's email and my email. If you want to talk to us, call us. We need to put Ryan's number on here. He can't get off that easy. Yeah, we want to help you guys as much, but on your own. There's lots of podcasts. Some of my journey began this with a Joe Rogan podcast with this guy at the bottom named Will Harris. You see in 2022. I'd never heard of either one of those people. Who the heck is Joe Rogan? Who the heck is Will Harris? But these are Joel Salatin's one of the big faces, Polyface Farms. He's the lunatic farmer, if you read any of his literature. And these are some really great ongoing podcasts. And if you just Google regenerative agriculture, you will be inundated with the podcasts that are out there. But it's a lot of really good free information. And again, it's context. How does this fit in my area? This isn't a one-stop, one fix, one prescription, if you will, to cover everything. You've got to learn this stuff. You've got to learn your context to apply it, to make it work. Lots of books. I didn't bring my book collection today. What Your Food Ate, The Living Soil. E.B. Balfour is one of the early in this movement, but there's lots of things. Documentaries. Kiss the Ground. We just showed To Which We Belong. Common Ground followed Kiss the Ground. There's a lot of good things that are happening across the globe. So yeah, lots of educational sources that are out there. Let me go one slide to make sure I'm not missing something. I'm not. Okay. All right. Got some time for some questions, and I think we're going to go to the greenhouse and then come back for lunch. Is that what we're going to do, Ryan?
If anybody wants to go.
If anybody wants to go outside and see what's happened in the last month since we were here. But if you got any questions, I'm going to turn the TV on. This may have some feedback in case anybody on the Zoom has any questions or insights, suggestions. You guys are way off, way out there.
I did have a couple, but you guys answered them all. Had them written down. So really good presentation. I certainly appreciate it.
Who is that?
Identify yourself.
This is Harrison Roden. I will let's see if my video works. You'll see a mustache that's probably familiar to one in the room as well. So
I would add, I want to reiterate that this isn't probably a one season fix from a conventional. I hate the word conventional agriculture because it's not conventional. This takes, they're saying it takes 2 to 5 years to make this transition to something like this, but it's start small, start now. Begin making the changes now. It's one presentation I went to that said it's like a drug addict. You can't just like, all right, you're fixed. You got to wean them off stuff, and we have to wean ourselves off of from a mindset as well as from a practice, and it takes time. It takes some patience, but it takes consistency to working like that. And so, I think Matthew's discovering that there's not a quick fix to his pasture reclamation program. It's going to be a process, but it really is. We say we didn't get here overnight. We can't get back overnight. It takes time to reverse. The Colonel's finding here of taking this back from 100 years ago. It's going to take some time, and it's going to take some planning. It's going to take a community of people to do it together. That's why I'm excited about this. Just as an aside, another great documentary that's not on this list is if you look up Blue Zones. It's a documentary. I think it's on Amazon. There was a National Geographic researcher that for 20 years looked at populations around the world that had the greatest concentration of people living to be over 100. And it's in places you probably could think of some places, but some places I was a little surprised to see. But they show like these 90-year-old guys doing one-arm push-ups, and people just the joy that's on their face. And he found the common elements in all those different populations. There was a I think he was a 102-year-old cowboy in Costa Rica that rode 10 hours a day herding cattle, and it was like, this is unbelievable. But what they found was the common elements were a connection to family and community, service, laughter and joy, exercise, and nutrition. And think about it. You go, well, yeah, duh. But these folks were living well beyond a century without medications and contributing. And it was really neat. Just a couple of quick, fast things. As Scotty mentioned about nutrition, the average price that Americans spend per capita per person on healthcare is $26,000 a year. $26,000 a year. Senior adults have, I think, an average of 15 to 16 prescriptions. We're the biggest agricultural producer and the biggest pharmaceutical producer in the world. So these two things are not lining up, and we're kind of at I believe, a crisis. Some great news has come out of our current administration. Two things that I think are really, really good. Robert Kennedy in 2027 wants to start classes to teach people how to cook, because we've all forgotten how to cook. It's immediate. It's fast food lines. I'm like, that's really, really amazing. But then to me, one of the most amazing things was that instituted that a requirement in medical schools that residents have to have 40 hours of education in nutrition and food as medicine. And the really cool thing is UAB, South Alabama, and Auburn Medical Schools said we're in. So you talk about affecting the future. That's going to really hopefully change our future, as opposed to take this prescription like, hey, let me see what you're eating. Now we're looking, oh, what's in my food? What should I be eating? So I think there's a movement that we're in, and what they say, this is all happening really fast, which is good. So what you guys are here for today, what you're committed to, what you're helping with the healing of our communities and ourselves, this is a really, I think, a really honoring thing to be about and stewarding what we've been given. So I had all that stuff.
Crazy
So.
how many people don't make that connection. He bounces off the walls. I'm going to take the doctor. He's ADHD medicine. He's like, how about you take him off the Mountain Dew? 5 years old. And I mean, he's. Never went and got medicine. Just, it never really went to people's brain. Look what he's consuming all day. What do you think he's gonna have?
So Ryan said he had a nephew that they recommended medication, but he changed his diet and basically stopped drinking Mountain Dew. And he turned out to be a highly productive citizen. But missing the connection between food and our health. Yeah. All right. Well, any other questions or anything, comments for the good of the cause?
I don't think so. Community. One thing that's really missing in our society. My dad used to tell me that kid in the wintertime they thought they planned February. And the way they did that was everyone, every farm all around, all come together. And they would plow this one. They would plow them, and they would plow this one. And they kept doing that. And that's where the community came in. Else, before World War II, we did not have commercial fertilizers. Commercial fertilizers are a result of ammunition that was left over too. We put a lot of things in our bodies that we don't need to. I've started thinking more. Started eating healthier. And really got a lot of vegetable fat on it. Then I started doing some research on what that vegetable fat can do. It'll kill you. Most people are diabetic because of vegetable fat that has on their body. Rather hard work, got rid of that, didn't it? Putting your hands together. It's amazing that connection that we have with nature already. Share that, so to speak.
My understanding, what Scotty alluded to first part about the community working together, was what's happened in the agricultural space in the last decades is it became more competitive and people stopped working together. Now they may react to my neighbor's combine burned up, so we're all going to help combine his field. That's reactive. There's a return back to responding and working together that they say was what's exactly what his grandfather experienced. So there's that return to the relational aspect of working together as opposed to competing against one another and only reacting when there's a crisis. So that's happening as we speak, which is really encouraging. All right. Well, if we don't have anything else, you want to walk out to the greenhouse and get an update, show us about the worms and the birds and the bees.
Sure.
All right, we're going to take a walk. I think Bill's going to keep his Zoom going, so those on the call can see this, but give us about 5 minutes, take a bathroom break, and then we'll convene out in front of the building and walk over to the greenhouse. So you can stay on the call and participate in our tour.
I'm gonna have to jump off, but I certainly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, I mean, we got listening.
6 or 8. So you just take your
So,
phone
man,
and put your sound
take
back
it out
on
and show.
and just keep it.
Okay.
And so we're basically gonna get to that same thing, but it will just like decompose into it's not.
Testing 1, 2. Okay, I'm back on the net.
We did that control burn a couple weeks ago. It's 50 total, 20 acres. 30 acres.
Testing 1, 2.
And so that's long enough. And so get rid of the killing off the wildlife.
We've got you, Bill. Probably still need to turn off the
There's 20 acres.
camera
Just
that's under Robert Mackey's name in there. I don't know if there's a way to kill that one because we've got sound coming from two directions.
like that. We got
Now I'm going outside, so
we got to figure out. If you look at Dr. Ward's map,
Scotty,
Scott,
can you mute it right now? Can you? Forget the Harrison, are you still with us?
Harrison just checked out. He said he couldn't stick around for the tour.
All right. We got left on.
Mackey, Alley, Buck, Gully. I don't have a contact for that.
I don't think Allie's going to be on that much longer.
All right, yeah, Allie, I'm sorry, Allie's dropped off.
All right.
I just wanted to
And Susan Williams dropped off.
Do we need to see greenhouse or not?
So Dr. Ward and kids again. So,
Yeah, if you can take us out there, that'd be great.
Okay.
So we need to figure out where do we want to put fruit trees out here. I know we got,
I got a bum knee.
and we got some blood that I see. We'll have to relocate that blood. But where do we?
Mackey, is there any way to mute out Corey, the camera that's in the room still?
Yeah, I think I can.
There you go. Thank you.
Yep.
So Bill Harrison was your contact. Susan Williams was as well?
Did she show up?
She did indeed. She was there for
All right. Yes, that was okay. I had
and we still have Gully, Gulley, that's here. And is that one of your contacts as well?
Gully. It's not ringing a bell. They may be going by a different name from what I know them by.
Could be. Gully, if you're still listening in, love to get you to unmute and introduce yourself so we know who you are. Gully's still going to stay incognito for now.
That's okay. That may be one of Nick's folks.
It may well be.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to take a little drive because my leg will not walk there.
Are either of you two familiar with the name of Sandy Ross?
I am. Yeah, she's part of the Deaton's organization, but she's been there before.
Okay. Well, she sent an email asking for the link, and that was at 10:15, but I didn't catch it till 10:30 because we were messing with all the settings and trying to get everything coordinated. I didn't see her come in either.
No, she wasn't there. She's been there before, so I'll go ahead and send it to her for next 2 weeks from now, and we'll try to get her more acclimated to it. I don't know why she's having issues with the technology, but she's got a few years on her. That could be part of it. Technology and old folks, bad combination.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I think most
I'm
of us
happy to
experience.
Yeah, I had one person in person, but that came in that had started up with us, and that's Billy.
Billy?
I'll send his contact info to you a little later. He's making his way down to the greenhouse, which is I'm doing the same. What does the visual show? Are you seeing where I'm going?
I'm seeing you. I'm not seeing where you're going.
Okay. All right. That tells me how the camera's set, because everybody takes a lick on these machines, and I never know what settings are on.
All right.
Okay.
Need a head count from in the room at some point. So if you got a picture
it was a total of 10. I'll recheck it.
All right.
Total of 10 in the room.
I can name 8 of them, so I'm missing 2.
Billy's probably one that you're missing. Matt was there. Randall was there. Of course, you had Colonel Ransby, Dr. Brandon Scotty. Nick was not there.
Up to 9 now.
Oh, Kathy was there.
Okay, which Kathy?
Kathy,
Montgomery?
which is, yes.
That was probably the one I'm missing.
Yeah.
We hit 6 on the video.
That's not bad. And being a holiday, I say a holiday, spring. So there are a lot of people not present that would have been.
Okay, good practice run. 16
Stand
folks.
by.
That's all right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
That's not real good. I guess it'll be all right. They're still making the way here since they're walking.
Turn your phone sideways. You'll get a lot more screen.
All right. Must be the orientation.
Yep. There you go. That'll help with you.
All right. So now you're seeing greenhouse. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What's Billy's last name? It's all right. Get it later.
Yeah, we'll get that later. I don't know where they are. So there are no first timers on the call now. It's just us. And
Gully would be a first timer.
Okay, so we got one first timer on there, and there's the first attempt to put bees here. And Gully needs to know that in 2 weeks we're going to have the New Water Farms, which is a totally different operation. Here they come.
Great.
I don't know. Are you able to hear me? So I'll get up close to the crew that's going to be talking.
That'd be great.
Is this a normal sound for you, Buck?
You're coming in loud and clear.
Okay. Very hard for me to hear though. All right. Let's see. Testing 1, 2.
You're good.
I don't know why it's so low. Let me play with it a little bit. Hope I don't mess it up.
All right.
Okay, it should just be the speaker. All right, am I sideways now, Buck?
Not yet. It's sort of frozen for some reason, vertical.
Oh, hang on. Testing 1, 2. Can you see?
Yeah, you're still half screen, sort of. There it goes. Now it's right.
Okay. It's very faint, so I may or may not hear you.
All right. We can hear you great. Don't worry about it.
Roger that. We're gonna ignore that. Stand by. Going in. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Here's our spokesperson. Are you seeing?
We see you, not them.
All right, let me flip it. Now you see him?
There we go. Perfect.
All right, now we're set.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First, one of the things I talked about is reclaiming things we throw away all the time. So here I've got these are blocks for cultivating mushrooms. They're made of sawdust and soybean hulls. And the mycelium grows in here. And then it gets to a point where you force it to flush mushrooms. Anyway, there's a mushroom farm in Birmingham, and this is a byproduct because after he sells his mushrooms at the farmer's market, then he has this box of soybean hulls and sawdust that he has to get rid of. So he thanks us to come and get them. And this is what I use to help build the soil. And I've been putting it in the walkways. I've been putting it in the compost. Another thing is leaves. I went into town and got a bunch of bags of leaves that people had. So I'm going to be mulching my rows with it after I get some growth. It's got to warm up a little bit. It's warm in here now, but it was like 30 degrees in here just, a couple days ago. Sawdust. I got a bunch of sawdust. Somebody did some planting, so he brought me his wood shavings. I'm gonna let them break down, and then right in here is the worm beds. You can see I've got some broccoli and some seeds from some cantaloupe and stuff I put in here from the dining hall. But if I just do a little bit of a scoop back, you can see that nice black soil. And it's thriving with red wigglers. So they make what they call worm castings, is a polite way to say worm poop, which is very, very rich in all kinds of micronutrients. Pretty much anything that would be harmful to us, with like salmonella and E. coli and different things. Man, the worms eat that stuff up. And then what comes out the other end of the worm, nothing about it is harmful to us. And if you look, there's these little cocoons. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. Looks like a little yellow BB. That's full of worm eggs. So when the conditions are right, there'll be a bunch of little worms in here, and they'll just keep, like I said, every 3 months, they'll double in population if the conditions are right. I've got this kind of covered to help keep it moist. I did have black plastic on it, but it's really warm in here, and it was getting really, really hot. So I tried to find, these are just the cardboard from the eggs that we cracked for the students for breakfast. I'm just trying to reuse those. Over here is my compost pile. Speaking of things from the dining facility, I'll kind of show you what it's looking like.
Too bad Harrison had to drop off. His Uncle Buck used to work in that barn right there. His great Uncle Buck.
So I talked about reclaiming. So these pallets are just a byproduct, but you can see I made all my compost facility with the pallets. Didn't want to buy anything, and I didn't want these to go to the landfill or just get wasted somewhere. So we utilized them. These are wood chips. Here in Alabama, lumber is a big industry, forestry, and some of the byproducts is bark and shavings. So I can get that either free or relatively cheap. And I have to have a ratio for my compost of nitrogen and carbon. And usually nitrogen's anything green you can think of, and then carbon is brown. That's not across the board the gospel or anything, but basically that's pretty much what it is. Then this is like stage 1 of my compost. This is where my stuff goes as it comes out of the dining facility. And in this bin, you can still kind of see what stuff is. So there's some broccoli, some eggshells, some onions, different things like that. I mix it with my carbon. I'm gonna pull it back a little bit. If it was a little cooler out here, you'd probably be able to see that steam. I can see it, but this gets really hot. And it breaks down and it goes through a heat, and I rotate it and oxygenate it. And then when I start to get in cool phases where it's not as hot anymore, and I'm starting to not recognize what things are, I'll put it over in this bin. It always has to get mixed up. So I get that young Navy SEAL candidate I was telling you about, me and him, and we'll get a shovel and we'll go from that bin to this bin. In this bin, you see less and less of what it looked like originally, starting to look like dirt, but I'm still incorporating leaves in it because I'm primarily going to use my compost as like a mulch. I'm not going to mix it in the soil, but I'm going to layer it on top and suppress the weeds and still feed the plants from the top. This one is empty now except for leaves, but this one over here is more finished. This is a biodegradable bag that comes in my tea bags. So this is just about finished, and you can see that it's full of life. I've got worms on this end as well, and it's just thick, loamy. I mean, what plant wouldn't want some of that? But everything here is free. Like, there's nothing here that I have to pay for, except for in a little bit of time and equity. But we have to buy vegetables, and we have to buy vitamins, and we have to buy certain things for our health. But if I put in a little bit of effort and save some things that are at my fingertips, I won't have to buy those vitamins, and maybe I won't have to go to the doctor because I'll be a little healthier, and I won't have to buy the vegetables from the store. So I'm not exchanging money for these things, but it doesn't necessarily mean they don't equal money in my eyes.
Do you use pine straw in any of that?
I don't put it in this because, like, I'm not against pine straw, but we're already real acidic in Alabama anyway.
Yeah.
Because of the pine trees and such. So I utilize it, and I had a teacher, he brought me a big load. I utilize it in certain places, and I would put it on my beds, but I just don't mix it in my compost. Yeah, but this soil is alive. This when I plant here really soon, Robert asked me if I planted my tomatoes yet, and I said, if I plant them before the resurrection, I'm going to have to resurrect them. So that's kind of a old farmer saying around our areas, you don't plant anything before Easter. So I'm resisting the urge because a couple weeks ago I could have easily gotten out here and planted some things because it was in the 80s. But it's still early, as we saw. The last couple of days we've had freezing weather. So after I plant here in a few weeks, I'll use this and mulch the top of my rows to keep the weeds from growing in there, and it's going to feed my plants. And then next year, I'm building on top of my soil, so I don't have to get in and till and break things up. This is not going to be solid as a rock next year when I want to plant in it. It's actually going to be on top of what I planted in this year. And then the year after that, that's going to be on top. And I'm just building it deep, layer by layer. So I really don't need to go in and break it up.
I just built some compost bins at my house for my wife yesterday using slats.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can do.
Yeah. I put this in here just to kind of hold some more moisture in here because I knew my worms were really going to be in this area.
Yeah.
And I didn't want it to dry out on them. So, if you go fishing or anything and you've got that leftover can of dirt from fishing, just throw it in your compost. You don't have to have worms in it, but it has those little cocoons I was telling you about. Yeah. And pretty soon they'll hatch. That's a little short, stubby one right there. I've never seen one quite that quite that thick and that short. They kind of like me. Short and fat. Yeah, there's a bunch of cocoons in here too. You guys probably, I don't know if you can see that or not.
I can see it.
But this one right there. So sometimes those will have like 2 or 3 eggs in them. But in ideal conditions, worms kind of know when they're running out of nutrients, and they'll say, there's not enough for us to eat in here, so there'll only be like 2 or 3 eggs in that cocoon, but it can be up to like 10. So if it's ideal conditions and there's a bunch of nutrients and there's not a lot of worms, they're like, hey, we can just go to town laying eggs because there's plenty for us.
Yeah.
So you can actually stimulate them to reproduce more if you're trying to harvest a lot more worms. People get into growing worms because the stuff that they have, the screened castings when they're done, they're like liquid gold. I mean, they're I would say black gold. You can go to Home Depot and buy a little 5-pound bag of them for almost $30.
Oh.
And if I just leave those alone in a few weeks, I'm going to have probably 6 or 7 of those $30 bags in there. That, I mean, the worms just ate my byproduct. There's not a whole lot going on inside the greenhouse because I'm in transition. I've got a lot of cover crops, but like I said, it's still, this is not a temperature controlled greenhouse. So there's not a lot of,
What is that varmint going through your bin over here?
something to eat. Raccoons.
Is that a raccoon?
Look at this one over here.
It could be a raccoon.
Oh, wow. How old is this? This is since the beginning of the year. It's not going through heat anymore.
I was out there with that little
When I
backpack.
plant, this is what I'm going to mold. And even though I'm still adding more carbon and more leaves to it in every stage, just because I'm going to use it as a mulch and help build the soil. So I feel like it'll go further.
That's money right there. That's what it is.
Does anybody have any questions online?
Can you hear that, Buck? Hello, Buck.
I heard it, and that sounds great. No specific
Okay,
questions.
no, it's a setting I don't know.
No, we're good. I appreciate the
I
show.
tried
This
a
is
while ago
great.
to get the sound to come back, but I can't get it on. He can hear us, but we
Okay.
can't hear him.
Anybody have any questions, Buck?
I'm in great shape. I haven't heard any questions from anybody online, so you're doing a great job.
So didn't have any questions.
Okay.
Online. All right.